He agreed to a marriage to save his family's empire. One ceremony, one sacrifice, one last chance at survival. But, before the vows are spoken, a man from his father's past walks in. Cold, powerful, unstoppable. The wedding stops. The doors close. And a yaoi is taken. Not for money, not for leverage, for revenge. In a world where love is weakness and power is law, hatred turns possessive, protection turns violent, and escape becomes impossible. Because the man who stole him doesn't want him dead, he wants him kept. And once claimed, no one leaves unchanged. Chapter 1. A Debt Written in Blood. Kieran's earliest memories were of ledgers and late nights. He remembered sitting at the corner of a cramped office, legs swinging beneath a chair too tall for him, listening to the scratch of pen against paper. His father, Marcus Blackwood, would work until his shoulders slumped with exhaustion, then straighten when Lucien Vallemont entered the room. Always smiling, always confident, always dressed as if success had already been promised. They called each other partners. To Kieran, that word meant trust. The business grew quickly. Too quickly for a child to understand, but not too quickly to notice the changes. Their office moved to a better building. Their dinners became fuller. His mother, Elara, laughed more easily in those years, her thin hands warm when she cupped Kieran's face. "We're finally safe," she once whispered. It was a lie told gently. Kieran was 9 when everything ended. He didn't understand the documents at first, only that his father's voice sounded wrong that night. Flat, taut, careful. Afraid in a way Kieran had never heard before. Lucien had arrived unannounced, his smile polite and distant, sliding papers across the table as if they were gifts. Marcus read them once, then again. Then he sat very still. "You can't do this," Marcus said quietly. "We built this together." Lucien sighed as if disappointed. "You should have read the fine print years ago." By morning, the accounts were frozen. The properties seized. The company, their company, was no longer Marcus's in any way that mattered. Lucien's lawyers moved faster than grief ever could. They were gone within weeks. The apartment they moved into smelled of damp walls and old smoke. Elara's cough worsened in the cold. Marcus took whatever work he could find, hands blistering, pride bleeding out slowly with every shift. Kieran learned the weight of hunger early. Then, Elara fell ill. At first she brushed it off. "Fatigue," she said, nothing more. But her skin grew paler, her breathing shallow and uneven. The doctor's visit ended with lowered eyes and words that sounded expensive. Treatment, medicine, time. All things they no longer had. Kieran watched his father stare at the wall for a long time that night. When Marcus finally stood, his hands were shaking. "I have to ask," he said. Kieran followed him. Lucien's house was nothing like the places they had lived in together. It was larger now, brighter, guarded. The gates opened slowly, as if even metal hesitated to let Marcus through. Lucien listened in silence as Marcus spoke. He spoke of loyalty, of years of shared work, of Elara's sickness. His voice broke only once. Kieran stood beside him, fingers clenched into the worn fabric of his father's coat, watching the man who had taken everything look at them with polite disinterest. "I can't help you," Lucien said at last. "What happens to your family is unfortunate, but it's not my responsibility." Marcus swallowed hard. "I'm begging you," he said. The words struck Kieran like a blow. Lucien turned away. They left, without medicine, without money, without dignity. Elara died 2 weeks later. Kieran remembered the sound his father made when it happened. Low, broken, unfamiliar. He remembered the stillness of the room afterward, the way the world seemed to shrink down to the space between one breath and the next. Something inside him went cold. He watched Marcus crumble in the months that followed, a man hollowed out by betrayal and grief. And as Kieran stood in that narrow apartment, surrounded by everything they had lost, he understood something with terrifying clarity. No one was coming to save them. That was the day Kieran's childhood ended. He did not cry. He did not scream. He simply made a promise, to himself, and to the memory of the woman who had died because mercy was denied. He would rise high enough that no one could ever turn their back on him again. And one day, Lucien Vallemont would lose everything he loved. The debt had been written, and Kieran would collect it in blood. Chapter 2. The Promise. Poverty did not arrive all at once. It crept in quietly, through unpaid bills stacked in corners, through meals that grew smaller, through the way Marcus Blackwood began counting coins twice before handing them over. Kieran learned early not to ask for things. Wanting became pointless when there was nothing left to give. He watched his father shrink. Not physically. Marcus was still broad-shouldered, still strong, but something essential had been carved out of him. He moved through life like a man already half gone, eyes dulled, voice careful, as if the world might punish him again for speaking too loudly. Kieran hated that most of all. At school, he learned to keep his head down. At home, he learned to listen. He memorized the sound of desperation, the way adults spoke when they thought children weren't paying attention. He learned how quickly respect vanished once money did. Kindness, he discovered, was conditional. So was loyalty. When Marcus finally broke, when he collapsed at the kitchen table one night with his face in his hands and whispered, "I failed you," something inside Kieran sealed shut. "You didn't," Kieran said. He meant it. Failure, he realized, wasn't losing everything. Failure was trusting the wrong people. From that moment on, Kieran began to observe the world differently. He watched how men with power spoke, how they waited before answering, how silence unsettled others more than shouting ever could. He learned that patience wasn't passive, it was a weapon sharpened by time. He worked where he could. Gleaned, carried, calculated. He learned numbers the way other boys learned games. He memorized patterns. He noticed loopholes. He understood leverage long before he understood forgiveness. Love became something distant, dangerous. He associated it with weakness, with begging, with denial, with death. When others spoke of fairness, Kieran learned to hear opportunity instead. When they spoke of trust, he heard risk. Every lesson was filtered through the memory of Lucien Vallemont turning away, indifferent and untouched. Kieran never spoke of revenge. He didn't need to. It lived in him quietly, steady as a pulse. He would rise. Not loudly, not recklessly. He would become someone no one could dismiss. Someone whose refusal carried weight. Someone who never had to ask. And when he stood above the world that had crushed his family, he would not plead. He would take. By the time Kieran left his childhood behind, the promise was no longer a thought. It was a structure, carefully built, reinforced by every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every choice that favored control over compassion. Pain had not broken him. It had shaped him. And as ambition replaced grief, one truth settled permanently into his bones. Love was a liability. Power was the only protection that mattered. Chapter 3. The Fall of Vallemont. Kieran did not rush revenge. He let it ripen. Years passed, and with them came a quiet transformation. The boy who once counted coins at a kitchen table became a man who understood markets, pressure points, and the art of making others move without ever touching them. Kieran's name began to circulate in rooms. Marcus Blackwood had never been allowed to enter, spoken carefully, with respect edged by fear. Lucien Vallemont did not notice at first. Why would he? His empire was vast, his reputation polished, his confidence unassailable. He had long ago filed Marcus Blackwood away as a regrettable inconvenience, a footnote in a story that ended in success. That was Kieran's advantage. He started small. Strategic investments, quiet acquisitions, partnerships that seemed harmless until they weren't. Contracts shifted, credit tightened, suppliers hesitated. Where Lucian expected loyalty, he found distance. Where he expected certainty, delays. Lucian blamed the market. Kieran let him. Each move was measured, each consequence deniable. No single blow could be traced back to him. It was death by erosion, confidence wearing thin, options narrowing, allies evaporating under pressure they did not understand. By the time Lucian realized he was being hunted, it was too late. The day Lucian's flagship company collapsed, the news spread with the efficiency of gossip sharpened into fact. Shares plummeted. Creditors descended. Years of carefully maintained prestige unraveled in hours. Kieran watched from a distance. No satisfaction. No triumph. Only completion. Lucian Vallemont suffered the heart attack the same evening. Some said it was the shock. Others blamed age, stress, a lifetime of excess. Kieran did not care which story endured. The result was the same. Lucian died surrounded by things he could not save, and the weight of everything he had built and broken fell onto his son. Alien Vallemont had never wanted the company. He had grown up on the edges of privilege, protected from the worst of it, encouraged toward gentler pursuits. He knew the name Vallemont opened doors, but he had never learned how to hold them open himself. Numbers confused him. Negotiations exhausted him. He had trusted his father to carry that burden forever. Now the burden was his. Elion stood in offices that felt too large, staring at figures that refused to make sense. Debt pressed in from every side. Advisors spoke quickly, impatiently, their eyes assessing rather than helping. Grief was a luxury he could not afford, but it took him anyway, hollowing him out from the inside. He buried his father and returned to work the next day. Responsibility settled onto his shoulders, like a weight he had no strength to lift. Kieran knew an alien existed. He had known for years. But he did not look at him yet. Revenge had never been about the child Lucian left behind. Alien was collateral, an unfortunate continuation, not the target. And yet, as reports filtered in, Kieran became aware of the quiet cruelty of the outcome. Lucian was gone, but the cost remained. Alien inherited not only a collapsing empire, but the consequences of choices he had never made. He was punished by a past he did not understand, crushed under a legacy that offered no mercy. Kieran felt something then. Not pity, not guilt, recognition. This was the true reach of revenge, not the moment of destruction but what lingered afterward, the damage that continued, long after the original wound had been dealt. The innocent always paid last. As Kieran turned away from the news, one thought surfaced, unbidden and unsettling. The debt had been collected, but the story was not finished. Chapter 4. The Bargain. The proposal did not come gently. It came wrapped in numbers, spoken in boardrooms that smelled of polished wood and quiet desperation. Alien sat at the head of the table, hands folded tightly in his lap, while men twice his age spoke over him, as if he were a piece of furniture that had yet to prove its worth. Debt. Creditors. Time running out. Every word pressed heavier than the last. His uncle, Sebastian Vallemont, watched him closely from across the table, sharp-eyed, calculating, already weighing outcomes. When the meeting finally ended and the doors closed behind the advisors, Sebastian exhaled slowly and leaned back in his chair. There is one option left, he said. Alien already knew what it would be. He had known for weeks. Sebastian slid a folder across the table. Inside was a name, A family crest, projections written in clean, merciless ink. A powerful alliance. Enough capital to stabilize the company. Enough influence to quiet the creditors. A marriage. "You're serious," Alien said softly. Sebastian's gaze hardened. "This company is your father's legacy. If you let it fall, everything he built dies with it." The words struck deep, cruel in their precision. Alien looked down at the folder again. He imagined his father's study, the shelves lined with books he no longer had time to read, the pen he always placed neatly beside his papers. He imagined the funeral, the weight of the coffin, the silence afterward. "I don't love him," Alien said. Sebastian's expression did not change. "Love is not the point. It never was." Days passed in a blur of preparations. Announcements made. Contracts signed. Decisions finalized without Alien's input beyond a single repeated question, "Do you agree?" And each time, he nodded. Because what choice did he have? The company stabilized almost immediately. Creditors withdrew. Advisors smiled again. People spoke to him with renewed respect, as if the promise of his body and name had restored value to the Volmont legacy. Alien felt hollow. At night he lay awake staring at the ceiling of his childhood room, wondering how duty had come to feel like a cage. He told himself this was temporary. That sacrifice was noble. That giving something of himself now might preserve what mattered later. It was easier to believe that than to accept the truth. On the morning of the wedding, servants moved through the estate with practiced efficiency. Fabric rustled. Voices murmured. The air smelled of flowers chosen for symbolism rather than beauty. Alien stood before the mirror, dressed in white that felt too clean for the dread curling in his stomach. He barely recognized the person staring back at him, eyes shadowed, expression too calm. Sebastian entered behind him. "This is the right decision," his uncle said firmly. "You'll see." Alien did not respond. As he turned toward the chapel, the weight of what he was giving up pressed down on him. Not dreams of romance or happiness, but something quieter and more essential. Choice. He stepped forward anyway. Because duty demanded it. And because no one had ever taught him how to say no. Chapter 5. The Wedding. The chapel was full. Light poured through stained glass, scattering color across polished floors and silk-clad guests. Music swelled softly, measured and dignified, as if order itself could be summoned by tradition. Alien stood at the altar, hands clasped, heart beating too fast beneath borrowed calm. This is duty, he told himself. This is survival. The doors opened. At first, no one reacted. Late arrivals were not unheard of. Important people arrived when it suited them. But the sound of those doors carried something else with it. A shift. A pressure that pressed down on the room and made conversation die mid-breath. Kieran Blackwood stepped inside. He wore no ceremonial colors. No attempt at courtesy. Dark suit, immaculate, expression unreadable. He did not look at the altar at first. He looked at the room, slowly, deliberately, until eyes dropped and spine straightened under the weight of his attention. Whispers rippled through the guests. Alien felt the blood drain from his face. He knew that name. Everyone did. Kieran Blackwood, the officiant began uncertainly, forcing a polite smile. This is a private ceremony. Stop, Kieran said. One word. The music cut off. The officiant froze. Silence swallowed the chapel whole. Kieran's gaze finally lifted and locked onto Aelian. It felt like being singled out by a predator that had always known where to find him. This union will not proceed, Kieran said calmly. Sebastian Valamont surged to his feet, face flushed with outrage. You have no right. This is a contractual. Kieran turned his head slightly, just enough to acknowledge him. "You don't have the power to stop me," he said. The words were not shouted. They didn't need to be. Sebastian opened his mouth again, then hesitated. He glanced around the room, at the guests who suddenly found the floor fascinating, at the men stationed discreetly near the exits, at the unmistakable realization settling into the air. Power had entered the room, and it did not ask permission. Kieran stepped forward, his stride unhurried, inevitable. He stopped in front of Aelian, close enough that Aelian could see the faint scar along his jaw, the cold focus in his eyes. "This isn't about you," Sebastian snapped, desperation cracking his voice. "If you want compensation—" "I don't," Kieran said without looking away from Aelian. Aelian's breath caught painfully in his chest. Kieran extended a hand, not as an invitation, not as kindness, as a claim. "I'm taking him," Kieran said. "No." The room seemed to shrink around them. Aelian searched for protest, found none that would matter. His intended stood frozen, pale and silent. The guests watched with thinly veiled fear. Authority, contracts, tradition, none of it held weight here. Sebastian swallowed hard. "You'll ruin him." Kieran's lips curved, just slightly. "No," he said. "I'll finish what his father started." That was when Aelian understood. This wasn't interruption. It was conclusion. Kieran's fingers closed around Aelian's wrist, firm, unyielding. The touch burned not with heat but with certainty. Aelian flinched, instinct screaming, but the grip did not loosen. "You can walk," Kieran said quietly, for Aelian alone. "Or I can carry you." Humiliation flooded Aelian's veins, hot and choking. Every eye in the chapel was on him, on this moment, this taking. His name, his future, his body reduced to spectacle. Slowly, trembling, Aelian took a step. Then, another. Gasps followed them as they moved down the aisle, not as newlyweds, but as conqueror and spoil. The doors opened again, letting in harsh daylight that felt nothing like freedom. As they crossed the threshold, Aelian looked back once. No one met his gaze. The doors closed behind them with a final echoing sound. Aelian was not taken as leverage, not as ransom. He was taken as living revenge. And the world watched it happen. Chapter 6. Captive. The place Kieran brought him to did not look like a prison. That was what unsettled Aelian most. The house stood apart from the city, modern, vast, guarded without being obvious. Glass and steel instead of bars. Quiet instead of chains. The doors closed behind them with a sound too soft to feel final, and yet Aelian's chest tightened as if something essential had just locked inside him. He was led inside without ceremony. Not pushed. Not dragged. Taken. Aelian waited for an explanation as they walked through immaculate halls, waited for anger, for accusation, for some declaration that would make sense of what had happened in the chapel. None came. Kieran spoke to no one. He didn't look back to see if Aelian followed. He didn't have to. Someone took Aelian's phone, his watch, his wallet. Another person quietly asked his name, then never used it. Doors opened and closed at Kieran's approach. Cameras were visible if one knew where to look, discreet, unblinking. By the time Aelian was shown to a room, large, carefully furnished, overlooking a manicured garden, his hands were shaking. "This is where you'll stay," Kieran said. Aelian turned to him, heart hammering. "For how long?" Kieran regarded him with cool detachment, as one might inspect an object newly acquired. "As long as I decide." The words landed without heat. That was worse. Aelian took a step back. "You can't keep me here. I haven't done anything." Kieran's gaze sharpened, not with anger but correction. "You're not here because of what you did." "Then why?" Aelian demanded. Kieran stepped closer, not touching, but close enough that Alien felt crowded by his presence. "Because you belong to me now." Fear spiked sharp and immediate. Rules appeared without announcement. Doors required permission. Schedules were set and enforced. Meals arrived when someone decided he should eat. Alien was never alone, not truly. Someone was always nearby. Watching, listening. When he tested the limits, tried doors, raised his voice, demanded answers, the response was calm, measured, absolute. No. No justification. No negotiation. Isolation followed resistance. Kieran did not shout. He did not threaten. He didn't need to. Control settled in through repetition, through the way Alien's world narrowed until every decision required approval. Even silence belonged to Kieran. They spoke rarely. When they did, it was one-sided. Kieran issued instructions as fact: where Alien would be, what he would wear, who would not see. Each directive stripped something small but vital away, until Alien struggled to remember what autonomy had felt like. "You don't get to choose here," Kieran said once, when Alien finally broke and asked why this was happening to him. Alien's voice shook. "I'm not your property." Kieran looked at him then. Really looked at him, for the first time since the wedding. "You are," he said calmly. "That's the point." Shock hollowed Alien out from the inside. This wasn't rage. This wasn't madness. This was certainty. Alien realized then that Kieran did not see him as a person to be convinced or broken through force. He saw him as something already owned, something to be kept, controlled, used as he saw fit. Fear settled deep, heavy, and cold. There were no chains to fight, no walls to scale, only rules that closed in quietly, efficiently, until Alien understood with dawning horror. He had not been imprisoned. He had been claimed. And in Kieran's world, possession did not require consent, only compliance. Chapter 7: Violation. The door closes. Not loudly, not violently, just enough to make the room feel smaller. Alien understands before anything happens that this moment was never about desire. It carries the same weight as everything else Kieran has done. Measured, intentional, inevitable. This is not anger boiling over. This is revenge continuing its course. Kieran does not explain himself. That absence matters. It tells Alien that his thoughts, his fear, his consent are irrelevant, not worth acknowledgement. What is about to happen has already been justified in Kieran's mind. It is simply another consequence being collected. Alien's body reacts first. His heart races, breath stuttering, limbs trembling as instinct screams to escape. But his mind cannot keep pace. There is nowhere to run, nowhere to appeal, nowhere to be seen as human. So something inside him retreats. It is not a choice. It is survival. Alien's awareness fractures. He focuses on meaningless details, the way light falls across the wall, the sound of his own breathing, the strange distance between thought and sensation. His body is present, but he is not. Each moment blurs into the next, stripped of time and shape. He does not fight, not because he agrees, but because resistance would require believing it might matter. By the time it is over, Alien feels emptied out. Not relieved, not calm, just hollow, like something vital has been scooped away, leaving a quiet ache in its place. Kieran steps back. That too matters. There is no moment of hesitation, no sign of uncertainty, no recognition of Alien's state. He offers no apology, no explanation, no comfort, because to acknowledge harm would require acknowledging Alien as more than a means to an end. Silence settles between them. It is colder than cruelty ever was. Elion remains where he is, unmoving, staring at nothing. Tears come eventually, but they are distant, muted, as if even grief has been dulled. What has broken does not shatter loudly. It collapses inward, quietly, permanently. Kieran leaves without looking back. When he returns later, it is only to restore routine, to issue instructions, to continue as if something fundamental has not changed. But it has. Elion no longer expects mercy, no longer believes there are limits. The last illusion, that there were parts of himself beyond Kieran's reach, has been stripped away. This was not an act of passion. It was not about control alone. It was a declaration. Kieran has taken what he believes is owed, and in doing so he has bound Elion to him in a way that cannot be undone, not through fear, but through damage that reshapes how a person exists in the world. From this point forward, resistance does not look like defiance. It looks like endurance, and control no longer needs to be enforced. It has already settled deep inside Elion's silence. Chapter 8. Punishment without chains. After that night, nothing changes. That is the cruelty of it. Kieran does not become harsher. He does not become softer. He simply continues, as if something irrevocable has not occurred, as if Elion's world has not split cleanly down the middle. Routine resumes. Breakfast arrives at the same time. Guards remain at the same distance. Orders are delivered in the same calm, indifferent tone. If anything, Kieran grows colder, more precise, more distant, his control exercised not through force, but through consistency. Elion learns quickly that chains are unnecessary. Kieran lies without effort. Small lies, large ones, about where he has been, who he has seen, what will happen next. Truth is given only when it serves a purpose, and withheld the rest of the time. Information becomes another way to keep Elion unbalanced. You don't need to know, Kieran says flatly whenever Elion asks questions. Sometimes he adds, almost absently, it doesn't concern you. Cheating is not hidden. That is deliberate. Names are mentioned casually. Messages arrive openly. People come and go, their presence unmistakable, their significance made clear without words. Kieran makes no attempt to disguise it, no effort to soften the impact. Elion is meant to see. You're not here to be loved, Kieran tells him one evening, not looking up from his phone. You're here to pay. The words settle deep, heavy, and familiar. For your father, for his choices, for his cruelty. Elion hears it often, spoken plainly, woven into conversation, delivered as fact. He is reminded again and again that his existence here is not accidental, not excessive, not personal. It is punishment. At first, Elion tries to hold on to anger. It flares up unexpectedly, at a dismissive glance, a careless word, a reminder of everything he has lost. But anger requires energy, and energy is something this place quietly drains away. Humiliation replaces it. Not loud humiliation, not dramatic scenes, just the steady erosion of self, being spoken over, being ignored, being reminded, subtly and repeatedly, that his wants no longer factor into anything. Kieran does not raise his voice. He does not strike him. He does not need to. The power imbalance is complete enough that cruelty can be routine, mundane, almost boring in its effectiveness. Elion learns to survive by turning inward. Resistance becomes silent. He chooses when to speak carefully. He learns which questions will be punished with coldness, which will be ignored entirely. He stops reacting to provocation, stops flinching when Kieran mentions other lovers, stops hoping for acknowledgement that never comes. Hope, he realizes, is dangerous. Endurance is safer. At night, Elion lies awake staring at the ceiling, counting breaths, grounding himself in small certainties. The feel of the sheets, the sound of distant footsteps, The knowledge that tomorrow will look exactly like today. It is not freedom, but it is survival. Kieran watches him sometimes, quietly, from a distance, eyes sharp, assessing. He notices the changes, the way Alien's voice grows softer, the way his posture stills, the way resistance no longer sparks outward. He does not comment. He does not need to. The punishment is working, and Alien understands, with aching clarity, that this is what Kieran prefers, not rage, not chaos, but control so complete it no longer requires effort. There are no chains on Alien's wrists, but every step he takes is measured, every word weighed, every day endured. And in that quiet, grinding routine of humiliation and compliance, Alien learns the most dangerous truth of all. Cruelty does not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply becomes the air you learn to breathe. Chapter 9. Jealousy. The event is meant to be harmless. A formal dinner, investors, executives, polished smiles and practiced conversation. Alien is seated beside Kieran, dressed carefully, introduced only when necessary. He has learned how to exist quietly in these spaces, attentive, composed, invisible when required. It almost worked, until Elias Rowan speaks to him. Elias is younger than most in the room, ambitious, confident enough to forget where he is. He addresses Alien directly, not through Kieran, not with dismissal, but with genuine interest. "You don't look like someone who enjoys these dinners," Elias says lightly. Alien hesitates, then answers politely. "They're long." Elias smiles. "That's one way to put it. It's nothing." A few exchanged words. A moment of human attention. Kieran does not interrupt. That should have been the warning. The temperature in the room shifts subtly. Kieran's hand stills against his glass. His gaze flickers once, sharp, assessing, and then returns forward as if nothing has happened. Dinner continues. Elias does not return. The next morning his name is gone. Alien hears about it accidentally, staff whispering in the hall, voices tight with unease. Elias's project has been shut down. Funding withdrawn. Contracts terminated without notice. By afternoon, the story changes again. Accusations, investigations, rumors spreading too quickly to be coincidence. By nightfall, Elias Rowan no longer exists in Kieran's world. Alien's hands shake as the realization settles in. He didn't do anything, he tells himself. Neither did Elias. That night, Kieran summons him. The room is quiet, lights dimmed low. Kieran stands by the window, city lights reflected in the glass like distant fires. "You spoke to him," Kieran says. "It isn't a question." Alien swallows. "He spoke to me." Kieran turns slowly. His expression is calm, but there is something coiled beneath it now, something restless and dangerous. "Did you enjoy it?" Kieran asks. Fear slides cold down Alien's spine. "It didn't mean anything." "I know," Kieran replies. Again, that same tone. Not reassurance, not relief. Kieran steps closer. Too close. "That doesn't matter," he says quietly. "What matters is that people are starting to forget who you belong to." Alien's voice trembles despite his effort. "I don't belong to anyone." Kieran's hand comes up, not violent, not gentle, just firm as it closes around Alien's jaw, forcing him to look up. "You belong to me," Kieran says. The words are not shouted. They are precise. Claimed. Alien's breath stutters, fear tangling with something else, something unsettling. Because the room feels safer with the door closed. Because no one else will touch him now. Because the world outside has learned what happens when they try. Kieran releases him and steps back, control reasserted. "This won't happen again," he says. It isn't a warning. It's a statement of fact. The next weeks confirm it. No one lingers near Alien. No one speaks to him without permission. Eyes slide away the moment Kieran enters a room. Fear follows Alien like a shadow, not because of what he does, but because of who stands beside him. Hatred twists inside Alien, hot, helpless, useless. But beneath it, something darker begins to form. Dependence. Because Kieran's jealousy is violent, absolute, and terrifyingly effective. Because being claimed this completely leaves no room for anyone else. And because Alien is beginning to understand that Kieran's revenge has transformed into something far more dangerous than hate. An obsession that will not tolerate sharing. Chapter 10. Consequence. Alien realizes something is wrong, long before he understands what it means. The nausea comes first. Persistent, unrelenting. Food turns his stomach. Mornings blur into dizziness, afternoons into bone-deep exhaustion. His body feels unfamiliar, unreliable, as if it no longer belongs to him in the same way it once did. He says nothing at first. Pain has taught him silence. But when he nearly collapses one morning, vision narrowing, breath shallow, a doctor is summoned without explanation. Tests are ordered. Results arrive quickly. Too quickly. The word lands without ceremony. Pregnant. Alien sits very still as the doctor speaks, about timelines, about care, about what comes next. The words slide past him, meaningless and overwhelming, all at once. His hands rest over his abdomen instinctively, not in tenderness, but disbelief. This can't be happening, he thinks. This shouldn't exist. The child is not the result of choice. It is consequence given form. Kieran is told that evening. Alien stands across from him, spine straight, fingers curled tightly at his sides. He does not know what he is hoping for: acknowledgement, anger, anything that confirms this matters. Kieran barely looks up. So? He says. The word cuts sharper than any insult. I'm pregnant, Alien repeats, voice barely steady. Kieran's gaze flicks to him briefly, assessing, impersonal. Deal with it. Alien feels something inside him go cold. This changes things. No, Kieran says flatly. It doesn't. That is the end of the conversation. There are no questions, no instructions, no concern. The implication is clear. This is Alien's burden to carry alone. The days that follow are brutal. Alien is sick often. His body aches, rebelling in ways he doesn't understand. Sleep offers no relief, only vivid, disjointed dreams that leave him more exhausted than before. He eats because he must, not because he wants to. He moves carefully, guarding himself without knowing how. Kieran does not notice. Or worse, he notices and chooses not to care. Meetings continue. Nights pass with Kieran, absent or indifferent. Orders are issued as usual. Control remains absolute, but concern is conspicuously absent. Alien feels disposable. Not just as a person, but as a vessel. The knowledge settles deep and heavy. Even this, even something growing inside him, does not earn him protection or softness. He is still only payment for a debt he did not create. One evening, alone in his room, Alien presses a hand against his stomach and breaks. Not loudly, quietly. Tears fall without sound as grief tangles with fear. Grief for the life he never chose, fear for the one now bound to him. He does not know how to protect himself, let alone someone else. He realizes then that abandonment is not always absent. Sometimes it is being seen and dismissed. Kieran holds all the power, and in this moment, he has chosen not to care. The consequence remains. Alien bears it alone. Chapter 11. The Crack. Kieran tells himself it's nothing. Fatigue, he decides. Fragility exaggerated by circumstance. Alien has always been quieter than most, easier to overlook when silence suits you. But the details refuse to stay invisible. The tremor in Alien's hands when he lifts a glass. The way he sways when he stands too quickly. How he no longer argues, not because he's learned obedience, but because he no longer has the strength to care. Kieran notices the pauses first. Alien hesitates before following instructions now, as if his body needs a moment to catch up with expectation. His eyes dull more often, unfocused, fixed on nothing at all. He eats less, sleeps poorly, moves like someone conserving energy they no longer have in abundance. It irritates Kieran. Then, quietly, it unsettles him. The breaking point comes without drama. Alien nearly collapses in a corridor, catching himself against the wall too late. The sound is small, a soft impact, barely audible, but Kieran hears it anyway. He turns. Alien straightens immediately, instinctive, apologetic without words. "I'm fine," he says, too quickly. The lie is thin. Kieran studies him, really studies him, and something shifts. Not sympathy, not mercy, recognition. A doctor is summoned that same afternoon. Then another. Tests are ordered. Schedules rearranged without explanation. Meetings that once required Alien's presence are quietly reassigned. Long days are shortened. Travel cancelled. No announcement is made. No permission requested. The changes simply happen. Alien notices. "You don't have to do this," he says once, confusion threading his voice. Kieran doesn't look at him. "I do." That is all he offers. There is no apology, no acknowledgement of past cruelty, no confession of guilt, but the pressure eases. Orders are fewer. Surveillance less obvious. Kieran stops pushing Alien to attend functions, stops forcing proximity when his presence is unnecessary. He stays closer now, not hovering, not touching, but present in a way that feels deliberate. Protective. Kieran grows sharper with everyone else. Anyone who causes Alien stress is removed from his orbit. Doctors are instructed to report directly to Kieran. Staff receive warnings delivered in tones that promise consequences. Alien realizes, slowly, that the rules are changing. Not because Kieran has softened, but because something inside him has cracked. Guilt does not come with words. It comes with action. Kieran stands outside Alien's room more often than inside it. He watches him sleep, not possessively, but as if measuring something fragile. His control reshapes itself, bending inward instead of outward. Still, nothing is said. They do not speak of the pregnancy. They do not speak of the past. They do not speak of what has shifted between them. But silence feels different now. Less like punishment, more like restraint. Alien doesn't trust it. He shouldn't. Yet even as fear lingers, he feels it. The smallest, most dangerous change of all. For the first time since the wedding, Kieran is no longer pushing him toward the edge. He is standing there instead, holding the ground steady. And though no apology is offered, no forgiveness asked for, Alien understands with quiet certainty. Kieran has noticed the damage, and he is trying, in the only language he knows, to stop it from getting worse. Chapter 12. Dependence. The change does not arrive suddenly. It seeps in, quiet, gradual, dangerous in its subtlety. Alien notices it the first time his body betrays him in Kieran's presence. Dizziness washes over him without warning, vision dimming at the edges. Before he can steady himself, a hand closes around his arm. Firm, done. Certain. Kieran doesn't ask if he's alright. He simply guides him to a chair, signals for water, and stands close enough that Alien can feel the solid heat of him, anchoring, inescapable. "Sit," Kieran says. Alien does. And that is when it hits him, sharp and unsettling. He didn't feel afraid. That realization unsettles him more than the weakness itself. Weeks pass. The routine reshapes itself around Alien's limits. He no longer pushes through pain alone. Doctors arrive before symptoms become unbearable. Meals are adjusted without discussion. The house grows quieter, calmer, its edges dulled to accommodate his fragility. Kieran is always there. Not gentle, not apologetic, reasoned. Alien stops bracing for cruelty that never comes. Stops flinching when Kieran enters a room. Stops waiting for punishment where there is only watchfulness. Dependence creeps in where fear once lived. When his hands shake, he looks for Kieran without thinking. When nightmares drag him awake, it is Kieran's voice that cuts through the fog, low, steady, grounding. When decisions are made about his body, his care, the child growing inside him, Kieran is already 3 steps ahead. It should terrify him. Instead, it steadies him. Kieran changes too, though he would never admit it. The pregnancy becomes a line no one is allowed to cross. Conversations stop when Alien enters. Stress is eliminated with ruthless efficiency. Anyone who causes discomfort, intentionally or not, is removed. Sometimes violently. A driver who takes a corner too fast is fired on the spot. A doctor who speaks carelessly is replaced. An associate who questions Kieran's sudden protectiveness doesn't return to work the next day. Kieran's control sharpens outward, lethal in its precision. "You're being reckless," Alien says once, voice soft but strained. Kieran turns to him immediately. "I'm being careful." "With everyone else," Alien replies. Kieran's gaze drops to Alien's stomach. Brief, instinctive. That's the point. They do not name what this is. They do not talk about the nights Kieran sleeps closer now. Not touching but near enough that Alien's breathing slows unconsciously. They do not acknowledge how Alien seeks Kieran's presence when pain worsens, or how Kieran adjusts his entire schedule without comment. This is not healing. It is attachment formed in survival. Alien knows it, even as he leans into it. Knows that his growing reliance is shaped by trauma, by isolation, by the way Kieran has positioned himself as both the source of harm and the only shield against it. But knowing does not stop it, because safety, real or manufactured, is addictive when fear has ruled too long. And Kieran, for all his cruelty, is the only constant left in Alien's world. They exist in a silence thick with unspoken truth, guilt unconfessed, need unacknowledged. Love, if it can be called that, twisting itself into something uneven and deeply flawed. By the time Alien realizes he trusts Kieran more than anyone else, it is already too late. Dependence has settled into his bones. And Kieran, watching, guarding, willing to burn the world for what he claims as his, does nothing to stop it. Because unequal attachment suits him just fine. And because neither of them knows how to survive without it anymore. Chapter 13. The End of Revenge. Revenge does not end with satisfaction. It ends with silence. Kieran realizes this one evening as he stands alone in his office, city lights stretching endlessly below him. Reports lie open on the desk, finalized numbers, confirmed transfers, signatures sealing what he has spent his life building toward. Lucien Vallemont is gone. His empire is gone. Nothing remains to dismantle. There is no triumph in it. Only a strange hollow stillness. The rage that once sharpened every decision has nowhere left to go. It does not burn out, it simply stops. Like a machine switched off after running too long. Kieran understands then, the past is finished. Not forgiven. Not redeemed. Finished. That is enough for him. The change is subtle but unmistakable. Meetings that once centered on expansion and domination shift toward consolidation. Risky maneuvers are abandoned. Enemies are neutralized, not crushed. Kieran begins to build something meant to last rather than destroy. A future, not a weapon. Alien notices before Kieran says anything. The house feels different, less tense, less sharp around the edges. Kieran's absences shorten. His temper still exists, but it is no longer fueled by obsession. Violence becomes purposeful rather than indulgent. One night, without warning, Kieran speaks. "You can leave," he says. Alien looks up slowly, unsure he heard correctly. "What?" Kieran faces him fully. There is no anger in his expression, no threat, just certainty. "The debt is paid," Kieran says. "Everything I took, everything I wanted finished, is finished." Elian's heart stutters painfully. "And me?" Kieran does not answer immediately. "When I say leave," he continues, "I mean it. No guards, no pursuit, no consequences. It is the closest thing to freedom Ian has been offered since the wedding." But Kieran does not step aside. He does not open a door or gesture outward. He offers stability instead. "You can stay," Kieran says evenly. "You'll have security. The child will be protected. Nothing will be taken from you again. Not love, not apology. Control, reshape, not remove." Alien understands the truth immediately. This is not absolution. Kieran is not asking forgiveness. He is not pretending the past did not happen. He is offering a choice within the boundaries of his power, because power still exists, even loosened. For the first time, Alien is not commanded. The silence stretches between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Alien thinks of escape, of distance, of a life untouched by Kieran's shadow. He thinks of fear, of exhaustion, of how much of himself has already been reshaped by survival. And he thinks of the child. He meets Kieran's gaze. "If I stay," Alien says quietly, "it's because I choose to." Kieran inclines his head once. "I know." That acknowledgement matters more than any promise. Alien does not decide immediately. He takes time, real time, uninterrupted, unobserved. He walks the grounds. He sits alone. He weighs fear against stability, trauma against inevitability. When he returns, Kieran does not rush him. Alien stands in front of him, shoulders squared, not defiant, not submissive. "I'm staying," he says. Not because he has forgotten, not because he has forgiven, but because this life, broken, uneven, scarred, is now his to choose. Kieran nods, acceptance quiet and absolute. Revenge is over. What remains is something far more dangerous than hatred ever was. A bond sustained not by force alone, but by decision. Power still lingers between them, unequal, undeniable. But for the first time, it is no longer the only thing holding Alien in place. Chapter 14. What Remains. Staying does not feel like victory. It feels like waking up every morning and choosing not to run. Alien remains in the house, not as a prisoner, not as something newly cherished, but as someone who has decided where his life will continue. The distinction matters to him, even if the world outside would never understand it. Nothing is repaired. The past does not soften with time. Certain rooms still tighten his chest. Certain silences still carry too much weight. Some nights he wakes disoriented, heart racing, convinced he is about to lose something he cannot name. Trauma lingers. It does not fade neatly. It settles into habits, into how he listens for footsteps, how he measures tone, how he braces for harm that no longer arrives but never feels fully gone. Kieran does not ask him to forget. That is the closest thing to respect he offers. Their days grow quieter, predictable, safe in ways that feel unfamiliar. Kieran keeps his word. No threats, no coercion, no punishment disguised as routine. The control that once defined everything still exists, but it no longer presses inward. It has turned outward, focused on maintaining stability rather than enforcing dominance. Protection, not possession. Most of the time, love, if it can be called that, exists in fragment. In Kieran, standing between Alien and the world without being asked. In Alien, trusting Kieran to be there when his body falters. In shared silences that no longer feel like weapons. There are no grand confessions, no apologies spoken aloud. Some things remain too heavy for language, too tangled to untangle without breaking what little piece they've built. They do not heal each other. They learn how not to hurt each other anymore. The child becomes a quiet center around which everything else rearranges itself. Responsibility replaces revenge. Commitment replaces obsession. Kieran plans for the future with the same intensity he once reserved for destruction. Only now, it is measured, deliberate, restrained. Alien watches him carefully. Trust comes slowly, unevenly. Some days it doesn't come at all. And Kieran accepts that without argument. This is the shape of what remains. Not redemption. Not absolution. But survival shared. Alien stays because leaving would not erase the past, only exchange one set of scars for another. He stays because the life ahead, however imperfect, is one he has chosen. Kieran stays because letting go would mean facing what he has done without the structure that now contains it. They are bound, not by innocence, not by forgiveness, but by responsibility and resolve. Love, born from cruelty, is not gentle. It is scarred, uneven, sometimes heavy, but it endures. And in the quiet that settles over what is left of their lives, that endurance, uneasy and imperfect, is enough. Chapter 15. What is born? The labor begins quietly. There is no chaos, no shouting down hallways, only a tightening pain that arrives like a warning Alien has learned to take seriously. He grips the edge of the bed, breath shallow, and for the first time in months allows himself to say it out loud. It's time. Kieran is there immediately. Not frantic. Not gentle in the way stories promise. Just present, unmoving, focused, every instinct sharpening into something singular. Orders are given. Doctors arrive. The house rearranges itself around Alien's body as it has learned to do. This pain is different from the rest. It is not imposed. It is not punishment. It belongs to him, and to the life pushing its way into the world. Hours blur. Sensation fragments. Alien endures the way he has learned to endure everything, by narrowing his focus, by breathing through fear instead of fighting it. When the pain crests, he cries out, not in terror, but effort. In resistance that is finally his. Kieran does not touch him unless asked. That too matters. When the child is born, the sound that fills the room is small but absolute, a cry that cuts through everything that came before it. Alive. The doctor places the baby against Alien's chest, warm and fragile and impossibly real. Alien breaks then, not quietly, not neatly. Tears come hot and unrestrained, grief and relief colliding into something that hurts because it matters. I did it, he whispers, unsure who he is speaking to. Kieran stands frozen a few steps away. He has faced boardrooms, enemies, empires falling apart under his hands, but this is different. This is consequence made flesh, proof that something survived him. When he finally steps closer, it is hesitant, reverent. The child's fingers curl reflexively, tiny and strong, gripping nothing and everything all at once. Kieran exhales, a sound that might almost be a confession. This changes nothing, he had said once. He was wrong. Nothing is undone. Nothing is forgiven. But something new exists now, something that does not belong to revenge or debt or cruelty. Something that demands care without condition. Alien watches Kieran closely as he looks at the child. not possessive, not triumphant. Stripped bare of certainty, afraid in a way Alien has never seen before. "Don't promise anything," Alien says softly. Kieran nods. "I won't." He does not swear to be good. He does not ask to be trusted. He only stays. Later, when the room is quiet again and the world feels smaller, Alien holds the child against his chest and feels something settle, not peace, not healing, but grounding. This life was born from violence, from control, from damage that does not disappear, but it is alive. And as the child breathes, steady, undeniable, Alien understands what this chapter is not. It is not redemption. It is not a clean beginning. It is proof that survival can still produce something worth protecting. Kieran stands beside him, silent, vigilant, changed in ways that do not erase the past but refuse to let it repeat unchanged. What is born between them is fragile, and because of that, it matters more than anything else ever has. Chapter 16. What grows quietly. They name the child Liar. It is Alien's choice. Kieran accepts it without debate, repeating the name once, testing its shape, committing it to memory. Liar. Light. White. The meaning settles into the house slowly, not as irony, but as intention. A few months pass. Life does not transform overnight, but it softens at the edges. Mornings become predictable in a way that feels safe. Liar wakes early, demanding and unapologetic, tiny fists waving with fierce insistence. Alien learns the rhythms of it, hunger cries, tired cries, the soft sound that means comfort rather than need. Kieran learns too, not clumsily, carefully. He holds Liar with a focus that borders on reverence, movements precise as if afraid the world might break if he isn't. He does not speak much when the child is in his arms. He watches, listens, adjusts. The house adapts. Meetings start later. Violence retreats further into the background. The world beyond the gates still belongs to Kieran, but inside, time bends around Liar's needs instead of power. One afternoon, sunlight spills across the living room floor. Alien sits with his back against the sofa, Liar propped securely against his chest, giggling at nothing and everything. The sound is light, infectious. Kieran pauses in the doorway. He watches them, really watches. Alien's expression is unguarded, softer than Kieran has ever seen it. Liar reaches up, clumsy fingers catching in Alien's hair, laughing as if this is the best discovery imaginable. Kieran kneels beside them without thinking. He does that when he's happy, Alien says quietly. Kieran nods, throat tight. Good. Down. Alien glances at him, surprised by the word. Not safe. Not protected. Good. Wood. They move outside later, spreading a blanket beneath the trees. Liar lies between them, linking up at the leaves shifting above, fascinated by the moving light. Kieran points once, guiding Liar's gaze. See, he murmurs. Liar coos, delighted. Alien watches the interaction carefully, not waiting for danger but noticing something unfamiliar. Peace. Not complete. Not permanent, but real. That evening, when Liar finally sleeps, Alien sits quietly in the dim light of the nursery. Kieran stands beside him, hands resting on the crib's edge. This doesn't erase anything, Alien says. I know, Kieran replies, but it matters. Kieran's jaw tightens. That's why I won't waste it. They stand there in silence, listening to Liar breathe, steady, trusting, unaware of the weight he carries simply by existing. This happiness is not loud. It is cautious, earned minute by minute, built from small moments rather than promises. But it is theirs. And for the first time, the future does not feel like something to endure. It feels like something growing, quietly, stubbornly, right in front of them.